In this final session, we are going to take a close look at League of 72. Guys, come and join me if you can, thank you. League 72, which is a social-first football content brand designed to engage EFL, English Football League, fans beyond match day. It's produced and distributed by After Party Studios in partnership with Sky Bet. Before we chat, let's see a quick sizzle reel to give you a flavour of what it's all about.
Welcome to Levels.
This is On Trial.
Welcome to Team Talk.
Welcome to First Time Fan on the League of 72.
Brought to you by Sky Bet.
Big man Jack here. Little Jack, listen.
Easy!
I love you, bro.
What's going on in here then?
I ain't Troy Daly.
I heard it was boring, so they needed a big fella in.
The Bin. Over 200 attempts for more than 75 ex-pros. And some of them have been pretty decent.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Beautiful, beautiful.
Oh,
beautiful.
so bad!
Please, please, please.
Come on, can I just pull his shirt?
You can him if you want for me. You didn't get that on camera then, did you?
So for the next 20 minutes or so, we're going to discuss the origins of this collaboration, outline how and why content is created, discuss some successes and challenges, and share some lessons learned. To do that, joining me are the far side, Dave Horner. Dave is head of sport at After Party Studios, and Oli Mitchell, who's content production manager at Sky Bet. Welcome to you both. Thank you for joining us. Let's start at the beginning. It's always a good place to start. What's the origin of the partnership, Oli?
So League of 72 has been part of kind of Sky Bet's offering since about 2021. Before that, we've kind of explored YouTube. Since the partnership with the EFL over 10 years ago, we've always kind of had this amazing access and being able to go into the clubs and film content. Since the inception of League of 72, between 2021 and 24, been through an experimental phase. Anyone who's kind of worked within the YouTube space knows that it's a constantly evolving kind of beast. And kind of we've had different iterations. The start of it was interviews, even live streams back in the day when they were a thing. And then over that time, we've felt that we've built quite a good audience, built some really good content, but it's always been kind of video first, kind of channel second. So we had some fantastic videos that would perform really well, but then we had some other ones that didn't work so well. So the challenge was, how do we bring the League of 72 channel to a kind of wider audience, rather than do a Sheffield Wednesday video that someone really likes and resonates with the Sheffield Wednesday audience? How do we bring in talent into Sheffield Wednesday to build a broader piece that fits within a channel that kind of is optimized for YouTube? So yeah, that's kind of how we became involved with After Party Studios. Dave here, so we've been working since 2024. The brief to those guys was, how do we bring YouTube talent that people are used to seeing and kind of get the platform? How do we bring these into the clubs and make it more personality-led channel? We've had kind of a few challenges from the start of when we brought After Party Studios involved. One of the first shoots that we did, really kind of, it wasn't a good start for the partnership, because that was with Swansea.
It was the very first shoot.
The very first shoot was down at Swansea. We learned a lesson there to not film right before the transfer window. So we filmed with Yannick Bolasie, who was at Swansea. I drove down from Leeds. It was about 4 hours. It was raining sideways. We had to not go out on the pitch. We couldn't do the Levels content strand that we were about to launch. Really excited about it. Some brilliant talent. We then had to do a pivot to do a gym activity with the club. Actually turned out to be a really good piece of content. But as a lot of people in this room have probably felt, we had to throw that one in the bin because Yannick Bolasie moved on in that January. So that was kind of the start, and it didn't set the tone because we knew it was going to be a good partnership. And the second video that we did was, I'm going to be biased and say it's the best club we could have filmed with, which was Leeds United. That video we then posted, and it's still to this day our highest performing video with over 500,000. So it kind of changed. So yeah, I suppose I can hand over to Dave to kind of talk about how you answered that brief.
Yeah. So what were the goals when you set those goals, Dave? How do you approach that then?
I think from our side, there was two kind of metrics of success. One that's easy to kind of manage and track in terms of obviously views and subscribers and engagements and all these kind of things is what a lot of us in the digital world kind of work towards. But there was a secondary element, which was how do you place a product like Liga 72 in the middle of the kind of digital football ecosystem? How do you make it a brand that is kind of known amongst everyone in the kind of world, the industry, and that's a harder thing to track. And I think what we tried to do was, as Oli said, is we looked at it as like we need to make this broader in its appeal to just the core fans of the clubs that we're shooting with. The way we do that is by bringing in formats that we know will reach a wider audience. We also bring in talent that we know bring their own audience and will buy in as well. Talent that will also bring out a different side to the players than you'd normally see. And then when we started to do that and we started to chip away and make this content across the board, we answer that second part of getting into that ecosystem by starting to pop up in the kind of the football sphere. So, we've got all of this organically as well. Simon from the Sidemen is on his live streams watching full episodes of the show, reacting to it because he's enjoying the content. Then Steve-O, one of our on-screen talents, is a wild card in Baller League, and he's pitch side being interviewed by Sky Sports saying that he's been training up on Liga 72 to be here. Talent like Chunks on their podcast talking about how they've sort of organically found the channel and are hooked on watching this, that and the other. And that was kind of the way that we answered that second half, is like, this is where we want to be. We want to be if you think about the old days, how something like a kind of a the drill with a soccer AM was kind of embedded in football culture, that's what we wanted to answer. So by bringing the right formats, the right talent, creating a space where footballers and managers that we shoot with, clubs, feel they can show a different side to themselves, they can reach their audience in a different way, something that doesn't feel kind of traditional sit-down interview, that's where we tried to angle and where we've seen a lot of success.
Thank you. So just so everyone's clear, so it's a YouTube channel, but you're also using other social platforms to feed to it, is that right?
Yeah, I guess a digital brand is kind of a nice way to wrap it up. So at its core, Liga 72 is a YouTube channel where we release feature content, but it's supported across Liga 72 channels, across Instagram, across TikTok, across Twitter, all social platforms where we release both, obviously, repurposed content from the main stuff we're shooting, but also bespoke content per platform.
And describe the content style, if you can, Dave. So, I mean, is there a certain tone or a humour and attitude that you're trying to achieve to attract the demographic you're looking to watch?
Yeah, I guess the way we'd wrap it up is it needs to feel organic.
Yeah,
I think there's so many great resources out there for football fans to go and find, kind of interview formats or coverage from their teams and players where they're talking about an upcoming fixture or the season overall. We're trying to fit in that different space where you're actually seeing the personalities across these leagues, and as a result of doing that, trying to, at its core, promote the EFL, because that's what we're doing here. Is it's a product that is built to showcase the EFL clubs across the Championship, League 1 and League 2, that part of the pyramid. So it's a brand that it fits that space of how you showcase these clubs, these players, these managers in a new light to both their fan bases and to the wider football community.
And is it different pieces for different audiences, or are you creating the same audience for, so say, content for the same one big audience, or is it different content for different platforms? How are you sort of subdividing how you do things?
So by platform, definitely. There's certain stuff that we know works very well on different platforms. We also, we don't shy away from trying to jump on trends and things, especially on kind of vertical platforms, if you feel that there's a natural reason to do it. Our answer is always, with the team that we have a very strong team across Afterparty and Skybet working on this. Our answer is always, as football fans, is this the kind of content you would want to consume about your club and players? If we feel it ticks that box, then we'll do so. But it differs platform by platform. Also, we try to answer different elements of that with the content. So the channel is more than just one series. There's sort of sub-series within the League of 72. We have Levels, which is our kind of headline series that we take around to clubs around the country. It's like a football training ground, challenge-based, 3 attempts at 5 different challenges that we shoot with players and our talent. Then we have a series called On Trial, where we get manager access once the players are done. That's something that we worked on over time to work out how do we best showcase managers in the right light, because there's a slightly different audience there, slightly more mature audience that wants to see how managers are on a training ground. So we developed that. Then we'll probably come onto it a little bit more in a minute, but our latest series called Team Talk that we've released is a kind of podcast format. I say podcast format so we understand the setup of it. It's actually not a podcast. It exists on the YouTube channel and on the socials. But it's a sit-down roundtable format with one of our talent joined by 4 EFL legends or ex-pros to basically sit and talk about their careers, but not in an interview format. I'll come onto it in a bit more detail, but our aim with that series specifically was, how do you make a piece of content that has the look and feel and the production value of something like a Stick to Football, but has the tone of conversation and energy of something like a Filthy Fellas that's a lot more relaxed. Team Talk came from, in our second season of doing League of 72, we were given access to Wembley Stadium for a day to go and shoot content like Levels, etc. Brought a bunch of ex-pros down, the likes of Jermaine Defoe, Emil Heskey. You saw some clips of it in there. When they were all getting changed in the changing room ahead of us going out to shoot, the conversation that was happening in that room between ex-pros that weren't feeling like they were being interviewed, they were just getting ready and they're talking about, do you remember this player and this player and this manager? And those of us from the team sort of stood in the room saying, this, we should have cameras on here, this needs to be filmed. But then it was about creating the right setting for them when we do end up filming it, that it doesn't feel now like an interview. It needed to feel natural.
Should we see a clip?
Yeah, let's do it.
Can we see the David Nugent clip, please?
David Nugent.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
He
stole your goal, mate. He stole your goal for England. On the line. On the line. Was your favourite?
You know, when he done it.
We didn't tell this story. We didn't tell this story.
When he, like you said, I can't remember who played me through. You know, you do a little bit of movement and that, so I've got in. So I finished it. Honestly, it was sort of like slow motion. So I'm like this, and the ball's going over the line. He just come from nowhere. Bro, in the England game. So I was like, what? Anyway, celebrate after the game. But you know what made it worse? So I've got on the coach. My phone's rung. Righty.
Oh, rubbing it in.
So I picked the phone up. He's screaming on the phone. What is that? What? Like, so because Righty said that, now I'm fuming even more. So I'm fuming even more.
Did you go see him?
No. So I see Nuge. So I'm sitting here, but I can see Nuge in addition sitting there. I'm just thinking, get me off this coach, man. Because you know why? I'll never do that to someone.
You would.
Well, I remember that goal, and he did nick it. How do you ensure that this is different from there? And you've mentioned already Stick to Football. How do you make sure it's different from other sort of footballers or football fans sitting around a table talking?
A couple ways. I think first of all, the tone in which we run a shoot.
Yeah.
You know, we try. I know this is easier said than done, but we try to create a very relaxed atmosphere from the second people arrive on set, to know that this isn't, you know, a sit-down question-answer interview format. This is supposed to be relaxed. I think a second way is Steve-O, our hosting talent, usually has existing relationships with one, if not more, of the pros that we've got there. So as soon as that energy between him and them is established, everyone else that maybe didn't know before, kind of, it sets the tone, and it does so. It keeps that energy. Along with that, one of the struggles that we had in terms of getting this off the ground, which was rightfully so, was the EFL asked us the question of how do we have this conversation remain EFL focused on a channel like League of 72.
Right.
So that was at the core of how do we keep it in the right energy. These people are obviously going to pivot off in conversations and talk about England goals or Premier League experience, whatever it might be. But by briefing the talent in the right way about this, giving them examples of other shows that we want to represent when we do this, getting them in the right mindset, and Steve-O going in to present each episode of this with a mindset that I can let the conversation flow, but at the right point I need to bring it back to that EFL experience. There's a few elements of that we just sort of drilled in from the start and kept re-establishing. We don't step in on a shoot and stop conversation when it's going a bit too formal. We let it flow, we let it get we let it become as relaxed as it can do between them, and sometimes we actually find that if anything, in the edit where we're having to cut out the bits where they maybe get a bit too relaxed and start talking about people they shouldn't be or whatever it might be. So it's never really been a case of as soon as we turn the cameras on, they start acting media trained and answering stuff. Yeah. These players want to talk in a natural format. It's just that they probably haven't been given the forum to do so beforehand. So we just try and keep establishing that they can relax here, they can speak as they would do if the cameras weren't on.
One thing's noteworthy for me, so although the conversation is authentic, one of my favourite words, it's still polished, it's got high production values, it's shot nicely, it's lit nicely. This is a question to both of you. Is that a deliberate thing? So yes, you might have some raw conversation, but actually this isn't an iPhone, or it's not shaky. You've got Bloomer used tripods, I imagine. You use proper lighting. Is that a deliberate thing then? Is that?
I think when we kind of came to the After Party guys in 2024, our content before was shot really nice and really kind of polished, which that wasn't the reason it wasn't performing as well as it could have done. We still wanted it to look good, but I think the After Party Studios guys, and Dave will probably allude to it, it has that kind of chaotic energy while still maintaining like that high production value you've got. And one thing I was talking to Dave behind there was their crew feel part of the talent as well, and it all feels together. It's not the crew are here, the talent are here. You've got content creators who feel part of the crew, and they have that relationship with the camera op, so the camera op can be running after some of the talent. They know they can kind of vibe off the camera op as well. So I think it strikes that really nice balance of capturing that chaos while still being high quality.
Thank you. Is there any sort of is there any ways of smoothly and efficiently getting your content out? Do you have a workflow to get it to? You're doing different things, different places. The previous panel was talking about technology as an example. How do you get the content out, and how do you actually get it out to the world to view?
So, key for us, I think, to answer that question is the relationships we have with stakeholders within the project. Right. So, to Oli's point, which is very lovely for him to say before about us feeling kind of the crew feeling one with the talent, we would say that probably extends with our relationship with the guys at Sky Bet. It feels like one team, same with the EFL. What that means is that usually all of us involved at each stage of the project are aware of the content before it's being shot, as it's being, we know what we're getting all the time. So that process of when something goes into post-production with us, the guys are seeing it from first draft all the way through, and they're part of that process with us. We share every piece of content to Sky Bet and the EFL at its earliest stage, because we've done well off the back of creating a space where all valid opinions on what needs to be cut, what needs to be emphasised, they're in it from the get-go. And that means that we don't end up in a situation where, working from a production house perspective with a client, you don't have that, like, how many stages of feedback and when are we hit? It's an ongoing process. If we work together, it smooths that out. And then we work really closely with the social team at Sky Bet, who are the ones clicking the buttons and managing those accounts to publish. But the best way I can describe how kind of fluid that relationship is that the guys on our side of the team, from a social perspective, are almost pretty much part of that shift pattern with the Sky Bet guys, and if they're not available to post something, we can post it. That trust has been built to we're all managing the brand in the same way. I hope that answers.
Yeah, that absolutely does. Thank you. So, a couple more questions from me. So, success. What metrics are important? And how is it doing, I guess? So, first of all, that's the first part of that question. What metrics do you look at, Oli, for you, I guess?
Yeah, I can start on that. So, from the start of the partnership, again, I think numbers is a big one, and video views is obviously a big one. I think for me, I do like average watch time. Like, right. It really makes you feel like, rather than this is one view, like how much is that view actually worth? So I think the average viewing time for YouTube is like 8 minutes 30 or something.
Yeah, around about 8.5 minutes.
But then the other one would be like that cultural relevance. I know Dave touched upon it before. Like, it is intangible, and obviously we need to justify the budgets and everything to senior stakeholders. But having that kind of cultural relevance of Premier League players, EFL players, all kind of wanting to watch it and seeking out, wanting to be part of it. I think that's something that we want Sky Bet to be at the heart of football culture, and that's something that we probably is a real kind of strong point for us.
And for context, that 8.5 minutes is on a channel where most of our feature content sits between 10 to 15 minutes overall. So quite a good retention.
Yeah. And in terms of numbers, what successes have you had? Have you got some figures on?
Yeah. So for example, since we came onto the project, I think we're closing in on 100 million views across all social platforms that include YouTube and everything else for the project. Team Talk alone, which is a really nice kind of example, first episode of that, and this kind of alludes to the fact of success can exist in different ways. The feature long episode of Team Talk that's like an hour long, because it's the first time we're trying something like that on the channel, it's done about 40,000 to 50,000 views on the main YouTube channel, which for an EFL focused channel is we see as a big success. But the content from Team Talk across social platforms has done 5 million views across Instagram and everywhere else, because a piece of hour-long content like that really is kind of built to be 10 different clips that grow everywhere else. So some successes there. Oli mentioned obviously that 500,000 views on our feature piece that we did with Leeds in our first season. We've seen sort of 6-figure views across some of our best performing content with bigger clubs around the EFL. And those social views, I think when we launched our TikTok account in season 2, I think I'm right in saying season 2. So. We did 1 million likes across the TikTok content within its first week. And then, growing from scratch social accounts on TikTok and Instagram, I think closing in on sort of 30,000 followers across them across the past sort of season and a half as well. So some strong numbers for a platform that it's in a football world, but it's a niche part of it. It's not Premier League focused, and we have to try and keep that focus on EFL content as well.
Yeah. Obviously, the EFL is made up of its football clubs. Do the clubs themselves benefit from what you're doing?
So I think that's something that we really try hard from a Sky Bet rights ownership kind of point of view. We want to go into those clubs and them enjoy us being involved in it, and we're not just saying to them, we're exercising our rights, we're coming into your club and you're going to let us film. We want them to enjoy it as well. So I think that's where we've come to a point where clubs are now actually asking us to go there, which is a really nice place to be. They see the value in the content, like right up and down the pyramid. You've got obviously big championship clubs right down to League Two, smaller budget, smaller clubs and everything like that. I think that sometimes when it's more rewarding, League Two clubs see us coming in with our production and these personalities, and it really benefits them. It gets on the League 72 channel, gets their kind of reach of the club. Like we've got Bromley and Stevenage of two of the best clubs we've ever worked with, because they're amazing people down there and the personalities that they've got, and it's just that's kind of where it's really rewarding to kind of work with us. So yeah, I hope they see benefit in it, and I think they do.
Yeah,
we find on the lower end of the leagues that there we are offering a kind of a showcase to those clubs that they might not get elsewhere. Also a production value to that content as well, opening doors to, like I say, we've been to some incredible clubs with amazing training facilities, but as Oli mentioned, if you asked our team favourite club to shoot with, it probably is the likes of a Stevenage or Bromley, because they've been so rewarding. The other angle to that is that at the top end we find that it's players that are reaching out at the big club saying, they want to be part of this, and when are we coming to whatever club it might be, which is a really nice place to be. The annoying part we have is that we're getting engagements across Instagram or whatever and DMs from Premier League players saying, when are you coming to this club? And it's
sorry lads,
only if you have a really bad season you maybe will be there. But it's nice to sort of establish that we're doing the right thing.
Thank you. Just one more question for me before we wrap up. What's next?
So what's next? So Team Talk, obviously we've launched very recently our second episode of Team Talk that was shot at Wembley Stadium the morning of the Championship playoff final is being released next week. So our main focus going into next season is we have our series like Levels and On Troll that have sort of really been established and doing really well. We want to continue to hone and push them further. Team Talk is our big thing for this upcoming season that we've released this now, we've published this new series, it's doing really well. We need to now make that establish its place within that ecosystem, keep pushing that home. And then the sort of, amongst the team internally, our one kind of challenge going into this next season that we find is, on some occasions, we go to some clubs who, brilliant for access, happy to have us there, but depending on things that have happened in their recent fixtures or the weather or whatever it might be, they're uncomfortable with a player kicking a ball, which can happen. in the past, we'll do an episode of Levels where those two players will act as coaches to our talent. Still a great piece of content, but for us, we feel like there's a gap there where we can create something new. So we're currently in the process of developing a potential new fourth strand on the channel that could live in that space. But Levels on trial, doing what they do best. Team Talk is the big thing for this coming season that we want to really push out there and see do the same kind of numbers that we've seen off the first
Thank you.
episode.
Ollie, last comment from you?
Yeah, I think I'll keep it to one. I think probably, so Skybite have kind of repositioned to be more for the fans. That's our new tagline, and we genuinely want to live and breathe that. So I think it's bringing fans closer to the Liga 72 channel. We've done that at the playoffs. We gave away season tickets at each of the 3 playoff finals. It was brilliant content, a brilliant use of our access on the day. But how can we do that as always on? Would be my challenge to these guys.
We put the bin in the middle of the stadium at Wembley for all 3 days of the playoff final and had fans come on and try and achieve it to win that season ticket. So a nice integration of everything at the biggest stage of the season.
Yeah, fantastic. Fortunately, we're out of time, chaps. If you'd like to ask some questions to the guys, they'll be hanging around for a few more minutes afterwards. Please grab them. But could you please join me in thanking Ollie and Dave for their time? Thank you. Thanks, chaps.
Thank you.